Hello, everybody. Welcome to Relatable Stories, the show about helping you to cultivate self love. I'm your host, Angeline Gahadza. And while I'm healing from emotional abuse, I realized the gap between our realities and the stories that we share, which then creates the feeling of isolation in some situations. So I thought through storytelling, we can relate and reconnect. So relatable stories will just be helping us to cultivate self-love by raising social awareness and self-awareness, which we described and talked about as the first step that we need to take to self-love. I will take you through my journey and all the relatable stories that are inspiring, enlightening, encouraging, and uplifting. Story by story, we intend to create survival guides for ourselves and future generations. So I'm inviting you all today to listen and learn and even share your own experiences if you know or you feel comfortable and you think it might help somebody else. All right, so on today's episode, I'm going to take you through my healing journey. I've already shared my emotional abuse story. For those that are joining for the first time, we've got a YouTube channel. You can access those videos, including my story, on that channel. And I feel that today couldn't have actually been exactly how I planned, which is tell the whole story, the healing journey, because it is so long. I would have to write a book. In fact, I am writing a book, so look out for that. But I'm going to make it a summary of the things that I've understood, I've seen on this journey, and why I'm driving self-love, and well, I've become a self-love coach. I feel that I found my purpose, and so it's so great to be here and to be talking about this, because the healing journey is nothing like the emotional abuse journey. It is, in fact, why I said the last time, or when I was doing the write-up, that I needed to be broken to start living. I would otherwise have not actually paid attention to the things that were stopping me from becoming a healthier or the best version of myself. I speak of versions. Oh my gosh, we've got different versions of ourselves, and that is a reality. We are sometimes bad versions of ourselves, which when sometimes we make mistakes and we make bad choices, but we're sometimes also good versions of ourselves, or the best versions of ourselves. But what we want to be is healthy. We want to be healthy versions of ourselves. And so we need to cultivate self-love in order to be that. And you saw on my poster, my outer ego, Mimi, is here. She will help me unpack all of these things that I found throughout my healing journey, because I've been having conversations with her. And it's important, I have realized, to have conversations with yourself, because your inner self or your outer ego, whatever you may call it might be your old self, inner child, speaks through feelings. And we cannot ignore feelings. And so when we intentionally interrogate feelings, we get in touch with ourselves and we can go through the journey of self-love. And one of the things that I wanted to actually tell you today, or was it just a couple of weeks ago, I finally got rid of residual guilt that I was feeling around, ending my relationship because I felt emotionally abused. I mean, I am still learning more and more about emotional abuse. In fact, I want to share a resource with you guys. I will put it in the chat after this live. This guy, Paul Colliani, he was an emotional abuser, and so now he has a podcast where he shares his journey, his dealing journey as an emotional abuser, but he also gives light and shares how we can identify and understand emotional abuse as friends of people that are abused, or as an emotionally abused person yourself. So just putting it out there, I'm really passionate about raising awareness for emotional abuse because I went through it and it's very isolated. It's really tricky to even identify and feel like you can say out loud you are emotionally abusing me or I'm being emotionally abused. So that whole thing creates the whole crazy feeling, and you feel like you're imagining things. So if you are somebody who is going through emotional abuse, thinking you're going through emotional abuse, you know somebody who's going through it, please take a look at that resource that I'm going to share with you guys later and try and see and gauge where you are in terms of guilt. I mean, I told you guys, I didn't even realize I had residual guilt about making the choice to leave this toxic situation. But after listening to Paul talking about how it doesn't actually change anything to stay when you're not honoring yourself, I realized I was still hanging on to feelings of I should have, maybe tried and stayed and understood my partner from a place of he has something good in him. And from that, what he said was, we are always the same person. Like I was telling you guys, there's a version of you that is bad, there's a version of you that is good. You just choose which one shows up. And we as people, or we as a people, have to choose to address the person anybody else chooses to show up for you, because that is the person they're in touch with. You can't wait for them to do the inner work that allows them to show up as the other version, because that might take years. They might not be intentional about it. They might not be ready to do that work. And this is the inner work that I'm talking about, the self-love thing. So another thing that I'm going to do today is pose questions to you guys. If you're there, you will be able to actually just comment and respond, but I will then explain to you how that question relates to my journey and how it led to self-love coaching. I realized, guys, that I had so many dysfunctions. I was broken before I was broken by the abuse. And I noticed a lot of things about myself. Like, for example, I was a people pleaser. I self-validate or validation issues. I already talked about it, but yes, I was a people pleaser. I was also an unconscious manipulator, which a lot of you guys might not even know about. Like, you need to read about that. But yeah, I was an unconscious manipulator. I'm a recovering achiever. I think I'm going to go through all of these points. I'm a recovering achiever, but as an achiever or a perfectionist, I also was being driven to do or to make choices based off of those things. And I'll explain to you how self-love helped me understand what that meant, And so the first bit of healing that happened with me was identifying that I should have played a part in the situation that I was in. Not to say or not to take away the fact that when you're being emotionally abused, you're a victim. That doesn't change. You're still a victim because somebody is either doing what they're doing intentionally or even unconsciously, but they're hurting you. What they're doing is reprogramming you to be a version of you that they would feel most comfortable with. And during that time, you are definitely a victim because you are unaware of all those things happening. So you should never take that away from a person who has said or is a victim of emotional abuse. However, the responsibility part is, as you are being abused, or as I was being abused, I also allowed certain behaviors to continue because I also did not have boundaries. I was a people pleaser. I was unconscious manipulator. I did not have boundaries. In fact, maybe I had some, but I did not know or master the art of keeping my boundaries. So it meant that even when I said, this is the last time you're going to do this for me, I will not accept this, it became just a thing that I repeated here and there, but there was never any action. And so it never took any effect or made my abuser look inward to at least, meet me halfway. And what really happened with me was that I wanted, or as a people pleaser, the real reason why I was pleasing people out there, is because I was seeking love from outside, happiness from outside. It was all external, right? And so why I was seeking it is because I was actually afraid of being rejected. Okay, I guess deeper. So I was feeling that I needed to keep pleasing people, to conform to what people do, or shy away from confrontations. I wasn't much of a courageous talker, so I tended to try and do the things that would make people around me happy because of the fear of rejection. So I now look at this whole abusive journey or emotional abuse journey as, I wrote it down somewhere. Let me look. It was rejection in the name of love. So my partner was rejecting me every single day in the name of love. And that caused crazy to happen. That is like crazy making, because I am thinking now that I found love, I am supposed to be secure and happy and all of those things. But the person who I'm in love with, that I'm expecting, the best from, is rejecting me every day because how I show up, he doesn't like. He would like to manipulate and control me otherwise to be what he would prefer me to be. I was not being accepted and all of those things. And I didn't know back then that that was the core of the feelings or the ill feelings that I was feeling during that time. So it made it very difficult to realize that somebody was reprogramming me. And I use the word reprogram because it's very important to this talk, because self-love is also about reprogramming. When you reprogram yourself, when you're being reprogrammed by somebody, especially in emotional abuse, they are messing with your beliefs, your self-esteem, etc. You end up showing up differently because you believe what you're hearing from them. In the same token, when you are loving yourself and making decisions and choosing to act differently in certain situations, you're also reprogramming yourself so that you can show up as a different person, right? So during my healing, I realized that I needed to take responsibility of my part in the choices that made me, say, for example, attract an emotional abuser, and also at the same time show up as the best version of myself. What do I mean? I mean that this people pleaser, this manipulator, unconscious manipulator, this person with no boundaries, was not a healthy version of Angeline. This person is Mimi, my alter ego. And Mimi is not bad, guys. Mimi is not bad at all. Mimi is trying to protect me. She's trying to protect me from consequences that she feels are really bad if I, sort of like push away friends, or if I am courageous, if I'm bold enough to voice my opinions or whatever. She's protecting me from rejection. This is Mimi's thought process was obviously formed at a time where I was very immature. I was still young. I didn't know much about life, so I would interpret things differently than I do now. But because every time a situation, I'll probably get into some situations later, because some situations trigger feelings that Mimi had when she was younger, I naturally, or if you are listening and thinking of yourself, you would naturally go and gravitate to the choice that you'd make in that situation that you were making for the past maybe 10 or 15 or even 20 years of your life, depending on when that thought pattern was actually birthed. And what then happens is that when you're trying to reprogram yourself, the feeling when it comes, you interrogate it. And then when you're interrogating it, what I just mean by interrogating it, it means having conversations with myself. Like, why do you feel that way when people ask you questions? For example, Mimi does not like being asked questions about things she doesn't know. She wants to know everything. She was used to be a know-it-all because her daddy always told her she's got it on lock. He had faith that she knew things that she had never even had to prove. And so when she was asked a question about something she doesn't know, she actually literally got angry because she didn't want to show up as the person that does not know. So she felt interrogated. Sometimes where it's just a simple question. Some people ask questions just because they want to know what your thought process is, how you got to where you were. So yeah, Mimi is now having conversations with me regularly, and I do acknowledge that it's very difficult for me to have those conversations by myself all the time. So even though I journal, that is what I use my therapist or my coaches for, because I realize that I need the accountability to make sure that I'm having these conversations that go deeper with Mimi, and how enlightening that is, guys. So throughout my journey, I've been finding out these things about me that have actually made me show up differently. And as I began to show up differently, I began to attract different opportunities. I began to look at life differently, happier and all of that. And this healing process, I try to put it down as well, it started when I took responsibility for my part. My first therapy session, I literally wanted to jump at my therapist. Well, she wasn't on video, thank God. But she asked me, what's your responsibility? And I felt very upset. But I'm glad that she took that approach, because I was expecting to be like, woe is me, I was abused, I am so sad, please, come save me, somebody, or someone, let's throw a pity party, let's do this. This was me on a daily. But she helped me do the taking responsibility for my part. And I want to hammer this point, guys. I'm just that person. I hammer points. I want to hammer this point of taking responsibility, because trust me, we have the ability to control our environment. I'm not saying you can control how people show up. That is abusive. But you can control your environment by exactly what you choose to celebrate and what you choose to attract. Because what you choose to attract comes from within. And if you do not know how you are showing up, which is like knowing yourself, the self-love that we're talking about, you don't know how you're showing up, why you're showing up like that, you cannot then control how people react to you, because you have no idea who you are. You can have a product on the market that you don't know how it looks like. How do you sell it? What is it attracting? Which kind of customers will that product attract? So you have to be aware of who is showing up. And so what I mean by that is, you have to be aware that this is the reason why I make such and such and such and such choices in my life. I don't know if we're together there. But anyway, taking responsibility is the first part, was my first part. And then obviously, secondly, was starting to have conversations with myself. Mimi and me are having conversations on a daily now. It's becoming more natural and it's easy. It's getting easier. But I mean, it gets easier to have the conversation, but it doesn't make it easy to deal with, because there's a lot of pain involved. There's a lot of, you have to let go of some toxic friends. You have to let go of some toxic partners. You have to make tough decisions to honor who you are or who you truly are in the core. And you have to, put Mimi down where she feels she has to protect you. And you're like, no, what? I think we can take risks, because Mimi is risk averse. As a perfectionist, she really does not want to do anything before she analyzes it and plans, and she's happy to go for it, right? But she doesn't move, she doesn't grow. This is why Mimi has been stuck in her comfort zone for years. And so now, as the healthier version of me, as I interrogate her, I make her understand, and then I set the new pace. Okay, so when we are confronted with this trigger, let's rather use this path for now. Trust me, guys, you will never get rid of the path that goes the other direction. It's work, continuous work that you have to do, where you choose a different path. And over time, sometimes you gravitate to the other path as quickly as just how you were gravitating to, your outer ego's protection choices. But it means that you have to be intentional about it. And so that's what I did. I started having conversations. I still have conversations with myself. Then I accepted the reality. I accepted the reality that I was a victim of emotional abuse, but I also accepted the reality that I was not exactly the saint that I've always been wanting to show up as. And that was really, really big for me, because being perfect was very, very important for me. I needed to be perfect so that I can be loved. I needed to achieve so that I can be loved. And that is also an idea that Mimi had from her past, where she felt that she had some conditional love that was given based on her performance in school, in showing up, in all the responsibilities that she was taking on. She was carrying the weight of the world, some things that were not for her, and she was tired, upset with the world for not congratulating and making her feel amazing for carrying stuff that excuse my French, that almost came out. She was carrying the weight of the world's responsibilities that she was never asked to take on anyway, right? So anyway, she had to accept all that reality, and I had to accept my reality. I had also to forgive myself. Like I said to you guys, for the longest time, I was struggling with guilt for choosing myself, for honoring myself. I knew I had to, like, from my core. I mean, in my story, I told you about how I started thinking about leaving, or I knew this was not a very good environment the day after we officialized things. And I knew it in my heart of hearts. I kept asking, I kept saying, I kept threatening that I'd leave, but guilt and empathy would keep me there. And I also felt like I was responsible for making my partner happy, and it was my responsibility to stay because I had committed, and it was very important, very conscientious as well, because for me, keeping rules and adhering to rules, it's important for you to be perfect. So, ending the relationship, a commitment like that, was also going against my core, right? Mimi was very, very important, or it is very, very important for Mimi to stay in the right lane and to follow the certain rules. So I had to forgive myself so that I can let go of the guilt, because I had to forgive myself for making a choice that got me into like an abusive space. And certainly I had let some things happen, right? And I needed to just say, it happens, mistakes happen. Because as Mimi would say, making a mistake makes you imperfect, and if you're imperfect, you cannot be loved, you're a reject. That's her thinking process. And so I now know that I need to allow myself to make mistakes, because mistakes help us to grow. So those are the steps that I took. And in doing that, I started also seeing some limiting beliefs that I had. Like, oh my God, I told myself a lot of things. Like, for example, I said I was not a leader. I said to myself, I was not a leader. I also said to myself, I am not a businesswoman. I said to myself, I cannot do public speaking. For the longest time, I was that person that cannot do public speaking because I told myself that. And so when I started having conversations, I went back to some of these things and talked to Mimi. I was like, but girl, why is it that you say you're not a leader? If we were to ask Rumbizai or Chipo right now, do they not see leadership qualities in you? Why are people still putting you in positions of leadership if you are not a leader? How come sometimes you can actually speak and people understand what you say and no one actually laughs in your face or gives you any negative feedback? It's all in your head when you are not feeling that you have done it perfectly, but nobody has ever given you feedback against it. I started doing all of these things and I realized those were all limiting beliefs, all myths that I now have busted. I now realize that I can do all those things. So it's so exciting for me. Sharing this, guys, is just me wanting to make sure you see the gold that I've discovered, which is, having conversations with yourself, self-love, understanding where your thought patterns are originating from so that you can fix it, so that you can know who you're showing up as. I now know if ever I blow up at somebody who asks me a question, I will forgive myself, but I will also need to go and ask for forgiveness, make amends. But I will also be very conscious of why I did that. And so I can correct, I can do the work to change, because I know I'm acting out of the outer ego who's trying to protect me from looking like an unintelligible person. And it's important for me to be loved because I am intelligent. But how twisted is that, So this has been my journey, guys, and I hope you're understanding. My biggest lesson was that not everybody is on my wavelength. Yeah, not everyone is on my wavelength. If I'm trusting, if I'm going to give 100% from the day I meet you, and I honor my word because I'm bound by my word, it does not mean the next person is going to. It does not mean that my partners in relationships are going to be like that. So even if I give off the best love that I can ever give, there's no guarantee that it will be reciprocated. And it mattered so much to me that I share myself. I was vulnerable. I wear my heart on the sleeve. Everybody knows, like even my face can't hide my emotions. But I tried to do that. And I did that. And in my past relationship, I actually gave my partner the ammunition to verbally abuse me because they knew me that deeply. I'm telling people. But now I know people have to earn your trust. People have to prove that they deserve to hear some of the things that you have to share. They have to prove that they are for you, because they can pretend to love you. They are not on your wavelength. So what you expect humans to show up is not what it is. So now I know that. I know I need to put some brakes. I also know that I cannot then start creating my future based on a template that I already have. This is now me breaking down what the unconscious manipulator used to do. Oof, I feel bad, guys. I really feel bad. But I felt bad. I've forgiven myself. The unconscious manipulator was, because she has a template of how happiness looks like in the future, how her life looks like when she has achieved all the things that she thinks she needs to achieve in order to get or to arrive there. She used to look at people as part of the picture. So that means that if you are not conforming to the picture, she would not look and accept you for that. Right? Which is obviously toxic, as you can hear. She would look for the things that made you fit into the picture. And so I was not allowing people in my life to show up authentically, even though that is what I wanted to do as well. As I was being abused, I didn't feel happy there because somebody was pushing me and manipulating me abusively to show up differently. even though I was expecting the same from them and I wasn't being abusive about it, it was also bad that I never actually gave people the chance to show me who they truly were. And so if I brought somebody in, thank God, most of my friends have saints, angels, because they never took advantage of that. And what they showed me was really who they were. But when you are in that space, you don't show up authentically, you don't let people show up authentically, sorry, then you are bound to invite toxicity into your space over and over again. And this is why you are getting patterns and patterns of the same type of relationship in your life. So that is something that I also learned. I realized very quickly that, oh, this had been my problem. So now I'm learning from my mistakes. I picked the wrong partner to begin with, and it's the best lesson I've ever had. But other people don't have to go through that. They can go and embark on the self-love journey before any distraction actually happens. And, it can just make you healthier, and it can actually just make you grow. And so I want to do this exercise with you where I ask you questions. I answer that question based on what I've discovered throughout my healing journey. And I'm hoping that it will make you start to think and pinpoint some of the things that you did or that you do that you need to work on. And if you need a coach, I mean, we all need coaches. If you do need a coach, you know where to find me. But a coach is just going to be there to guide you, but not to help you. So that's another thing that I realized. The power that I keep talking about, the inner power that we always talk about, that for me is God. But if you're not religious, that could just be your intuition. But your inner power and that power that you harness when you know yourself is enough for you to actually be the best version of yourself. That means you know best what you need. You always know best in any room, whether these people are learned or whatever. You have all the data about who you are. I know everything about Angeline and Mimi, right? So it means that if I was to put and analyze all the facts about this girl, I'm the best person to make a decision about what would make her happy, what would make her grow. But the problem is we really, really listen to our feelings. We are not our feelings, don't get me wrong. If you are an angry person all the time, don't then say, oh, I just need to be angry. No, we are not our feelings, but we need the feelings to have to communicate with ourselves. That's how Mimi speaks. Mimi speaks in feelings. She gets angry and I'm just like, why? Why angry? Tell me. Is it because you feel like people don't love you anymore? Is it because you feel vulnerable? What is the problem? She tells me where it came from. And now I make a logical decision to say, whenever that happens, let's not lash out like that again. Let's try to do this instead because we know better. We are more mature now. And then so I try to correct things. So, sorry, I hope I didn't lose you there. But I was telling you about, I wanted to ask you questions. But before we get there, I want to, looking at this thing now, I wanted to tell you about the last thing that I have discovered was governing my life. Not staying in the present. Okay. Living in the present is hard, guys. Even in meetings, Mimi checks out. She will check out if she feels she has said something wrong. That means she misses other things that are going on throughout the meeting, telling herself, how could you say that? Why would you say it like that? You probably should have done that or said that. And I miss things. This is just like in business. But in life, I'm also not present, or I wasn't also present. It was either in fact, no, victim mode for me only happened during the emotional abuse because I'd gone through that in isolation. But victim mode has never really ruled my life, but it could rule yours. Where if you're not in the present, you're back there thinking, if only this hadn't happened, if only that didn't happen, I would have been there, I could have reached there or whatever. But you're not in the present. What is actually happening now? Is there no good happening? Is there nothing that you can use to propel yourself forward and still reach the mark? we miss that because we're in victim mode. I was a victim of my future mode because from my formative years, I somehow got this idea that happiness was something in future. Happiness was something that I would get when I get something. And so I was in constant future mode, never present. So either way, whether you're future or you're victim, which victim is past, future mode is where you're planning and you're thinking you need to get there in order for you to arrive to happiness, you are missing out on the journey. And the whole idea of life is for you to appreciate the journey. The journey involves pain, and pain is good for you. If you let pain go through you, you will actually do better. I was given a good example by my coach, who said, for example, during labor, right? The pain that we feel, the contractual pains that we feel, are actually designed to help you push baby out, which is actually good pain. That pain is good for you. But most people suffer through it because they're trying to fight the pain. They don't want to feel the pain. And so you're working against the pain. And so it prolongs the whole process. You might arrive, yes, but it will make it more painful and it prolongs it. But if you allow the pain to go through you or to move through you, experience it, right? You are going to be able to get or arrive faster or quicker. So you need to be able to understand the pain, allow it. Pain, fear are things that we usually fight against, but those things, if we allow them to go through us, understand where they're coming from, they will propel us into greatness. So don't live in the future, don't live in the past. Try to be present, try to celebrate yourself, try to understand what's going on with you now. Try to interrogate. And what I wanted to say was actually judge the person that's showing up, whether it's you or the next person. Judge what's showing up, because that's what's there. It could last a lifetime. You don't look for the good in people. If they're choosing not to show the good in them, that's who they are right now. It's not like the good is gone. It's not like you're going to be replacing the good and the bad just like that. It's still the same person. So you need to make sure that a person has chosen to show up for you in a way that honors you. And if they're not, they don't deserve to be in a life. Same for yourself. You don't deserve to live in a life where you are showing up in a way that doesn't serve you. So you can always change that by interrogating how you are showing up right now. Right, so now I'm going to go to the questions. I hope you guys are ready. I don't know if I have anyone in the audience today watching me rambling and talking to myself. I wanted to ask you, are you tired of being strong, a superwoman? Are you secretly, unconsciously praying for a savior? Okay, let me put that on screen. Are you tired of being a strong superwoman, secretly or unconsciously praying for a savior? Tell me in the comments section, but I'll tell you, that was me. Throughout my healing journey, I then realized that it was because of that thing that I was telling you about. I took on responsibilities that aren't mine. My friends came to me for advice. Instead of me just saying, I'm here for you, I made, or in fact, immediately, I made that my responsibility. Even if no people didn't want me to take the responsibility. I have an example with my brother. I think he has never told me, but I realized that I probably was pushing him away because I always wanted him to do his things the way I did. I felt I was the golden child. I was good. I never really did anything crazy. I stayed in the house all the time. I was boring. I didn't leave. I didn't have a childhood because I chose it though. Those were my choices. And I couldn't understand when my brother liked to play. He was also an achiever, but he also liked to play. And he was honoring himself and let himself play. He was a child. So when he ever did things that I felt, well, I wouldn't do that, and that's hurting my dad, stop it, I would then start to take it upon myself to drive his life. It was important for me to make the ship, his ship, get to arrival. But who's to say that I knew better? I don't know, but like that's me. And a lot of people, if that's you, if you're steering other people's ships, if you feel you're in charge of making the family arrive alive, or the family or your friends or whoever arrive into a destination that is happy, you are taking on responsibilities that aren't yours, and that is why you're burnt out. It could be you're doing it in your job, in your family, and all that, but that is why you're burnt out. And so you are now secretly hoping that there will be somebody who will relieve you of those responsibilities without making you feel bad. You don't want to leave it by yourself, because that then makes you less perfect. But so here, guys, I'm just telling you how I felt. So if you relate, you do. If you don't, it's okay. But that's how I would have felt. And so you want a savior. And for me, that savior was in the form of a partner. It was in the form of my shining knight. Prince Terry was going to come and be like my partner as a partnership. We would take on these responsibilities together and I'd feel less, burdened. But my ex didn't do that for me. He, in fact, added more. So that was also why this was just so uncomfortable for me, and probably that's why it didn't last that long, because I've heard a lot of people going through emotional abuse for 10 years on end, and for me it was just a year, less than a year and a half. So I had always been thinking that when I arrive, when I get my partner, I'm going to then feel less burdened. And so when I said I want to be free, I really wanted to be free of responsibility, some of the responsibilities that I took upon myself. And so if that's you, try to have conversations with yourself about why you're taking responsibilities, why you are agreeing to doing things that you don't want to do, but you feel obligated. Obligation, that's the word. You feel obligated to do it. You're a conscientious person, so you feel that the rule, according to your inner child or your old self or alter ego, is that you steer the ship for the family, for your friends or whatever, you're there. That could be killing you. That could be the reason why you are killing yourself, because you're not honoring yourself. And the fact is, some people do not want you to take those responsibilities. One, they don't want to. That's why they don't thank you and you're upset for nothing. Or two, they are letting you because they're now abusive. They don't have to do any work. But thirdly, you're killing them because you're not empowering them to be able to live life themselves. Therefore, if in future they are unable to make adult decisions and function and show up as an adult, you can't be upset again and say, why can't you do this? Which is what I used to do. You have enabled them to not to always be the victim. And so now they're powerless and they cannot move by themselves. And the last thing that I want to say on this topic is, when you are looking for a savior, please know this: no one is coming. Help comes from yourself. Help comes from within. No one, like I said, no one would ever know you the way that who knows what's best for you is you. So the beginning of growth is self-love, so that when you know what you deserve, you can go for it. All right, let me check the comments and see if anyone responded. Relatable, being strong is exhausting. This one is saying that is so true. You start to feel burnout and sometimes you start to feel used, but really nobody asked you to help. Yes, I feel like these are my best friends in the chat, but anyway. Let's go on to the next question. Do you feel smaller than your dreams? Like your dreams are bigger than you and that you cannot pursue them now because you already have a lot on your plate? It's the same sort of one that I was explaining, and I think I explained it in depth. It's just that whenever you dream, right, you think, with all these things that I have, how am I going to do that and that and that and that and that again? And then you stop dreaming. But if you don't dream it, you will not have it. This is something that I found to be true for me. I had stopped dreaming. I was just using the one template, the one dream that me and my father made. Daddy issues are like loaded in my story. But this dream is a dream that was formed years ago. It probably should have changed years ago, because the person that I am now that I know myself, is not the same one. So if you're not dreaming, if you feel the bigger, you don't even bother to dream, you're stunting your own growth. You cannot become the person that you are meant to be if you don't know what actually God wants for you. So you can't find your purpose. You're going to stunt your purpose because you're not dreaming. Through dreaming, God embeds and puts thoughts in your mind, ideas in your mind about what He intends for you. But if you're stuck holding on to this old dream that maybe you didn't even dream yourself, it was just, especially when we're young, it was just beliefs and dreams that we borrowed from our parents or the people that raised us. So most times, if you're suffering from what I was suffering from, you can't dream. You feel like your dreams, if you dream, are bigger than you, so you just don't pursue them. And you've got a lot on your plate, and that is more important. And so you put yourself aside. Honor yourselves, ladies. Honor yourselves, guys. I don't know if anyone has any comments, but listen to what you want, because you know yourself better. You will grow quicker, and you get to where you want to go. You'll find your purpose, and you will thrive in that. Like you can see, I'm like a happy baby these days. I'm thriving in purpose because I found it. Do you find yourself attracting the same kind of relationships and wondering why they keep failing? I think I've also explained this one in depth. When you keep showing up the same way as a version that you don't even know, because like I said, if you are not interrogating your feelings, there's no way that you know what you are actually presenting. Your product, the end product, Angeline, Rubitzai, Kareno, Chipo, you don't know what we see, right? Because you don't know why you make the choices that you do. When you lash out, when you're in a mood, or when you're happy, or when you're giggling, or whatever it is that then shows up, right? You don't know why you do it. So because you don't know why you do it, you can't exactly know what you are showing up as. You only think you do because you agree with the choices that you make, but you don't really know. So in order to know that, you have to understand your feeling. You have to have that self-awareness of, oh, I do this because that. And so it registers, because some of these things are actually not very helpful for you. They're not there to serve you. They're there to protect you, but sometimes you don't need the protection. Like I said to you guys, I didn't need protection from leadership. I didn't need protection from public speaking. I didn't need protection from teaching. Oh, I'd say this a lot. I'll never teach. I'm so impatient. I will only teach kids. But look at me now. I really am passionate about teaching you guys about self-love. I am now a coach because I really love it and I'm really inspired by it. But I swore, guys, I don't know who I've told, maybe someone can attest. I had said, you'll never catch me dead teaching adults, because adults just don't get it. I'm more patient with kids. So you will find yourself attracting or missing opportunities because there's a core feeling that you are not interrogating. You are not self-aware. You don't know who you are. And so you're not growing. So if you are showing up the person as a person you're not, you're going to continue to also attract, okay, let me call it buyers, for example, is an example that I was using. You're marketing a product and you don't know what it is, but buyers specifically come to the market for specific things. And so if your buyer wants to buy tomatoes and you are showing up as a lemon, they're never coming to you because your tomato is inside. You're worried. You're like, why are people not coming to buy my tomatoes? I'm showing up as a tomato just like every girl. Why are the guys not coming? The guys that I actually like? Well, because they're seeing lemons. So are you sure you know who you're showing up as? If you're not, you need the self-awareness and you need to check your patterns. Your patterns show you that there's something that you're doing wrong, or you're showing up as somebody you don't know you are showing up, because they'll show you that you're attracting the same people you don't want in your life. How can you change that? All right. Then the next question is, do you always take the high road because it's easier than confronting the uncomfortable truth and it keeps you feeling like a saint? You already know why I put the question there for myself. You don't want to have conflict. You do not want to be rejected. And so you are functioning from a place of fear, right? You are afraid. You do not want to take the risk of telling your friend off and telling them, you know what, I do not appreciate how you talk to me. I do not appreciate those comments about my body or whatever it is. You are too afraid to have those courageous conversations and be open. And so if you are doing that, you are also showing up wrong, attracting the wrong things, attracting abuse. And it's also very draining. You're not honoring yourself. It's something that you need to interrogate. Where did it come from? So I will keep referring to interrogating and inner work, because sometimes the triggers don't show up at the same time. They will keep showing up in life, right? And so each trigger will lead to maybe even the same memory will have a lot of triggers. So you need to be able to find which trigger is getting you to do this so that you can change it. And that's the only way you can actually show up differently and show the tomato you want to show instead of the lemon that you're showing. And unfortunately, most of us, when we're showing up as lemons, but we want to be tomatoes, we're even unconscious about it. So the emotional abuse I was telling you about, who helped me understand my guilt, he said he never knew he was emotionally abusing people. He actually wanted to be good, but he had a coping mechanism from childhood that never developed, that made him not want to put boundaries. And so instead of putting boundaries about things that honor him, he wanted to manipulate people to just be that for him. And it was easy as that. And he didn't see any problem with it. So you might not even see how you are being lemony, because maybe people around you also don't want to tell you. So you have to have conversations with yourself if you have issues with confronting the uncomfortable truth with people, courageous conversations, if you feel that you always have to be the nice one and the saint. Next questions. Do you sometimes feel discomfort when you're being nice? Okay, so this is the same one, because you say yes to things that you actually want to say no to most times. You're like, you know what, it's only 2 minutes, let me just do it. You know what, it's only a day of my life, let me just do it. It's only 2 hours overtime, let me just do it. But what you're foregoing, the opportunities you're foregoing, or the experiences you're foregoing, like maybe spending time with your family, or enjoying or celebrating yourself on that day, or self-care, really just going to exercise because you're hating how you're getting bigger, but you just don't have the time to exercise. Those things will pile up and become the reason why you don't have self-confidence. And without the self-confidence, a lot of things also don't happen, because you end up not trusting yourself. It creates another chain of you not believing in your own powers and your own goodness, etc. So being nice is all good, but it's not a rule that it looks like this. You saying no to something that you feel would have been nice is not you being bad. But at the end of the day, it's not about this question. It's about you realizing that when the trigger to be nice comes, you have to go and dig deeper, do the inner work, and find why you particularly want to be nice all the time. And then the next question is, do you struggle to decide what you want to do with your life? A lot of us have borrowed beliefs. A lot of us have borrowed dreams. A lot of us are people pleasers, so we borrow things a lot. And so when you are then actually asked, or if you ever finally then ask yourself why what you want to do with your life, you actually don't know, because whatever it is that you are presenting to be was never your idea to begin with. You don't know how it was what can I say, how it was cooked up, and so you cannot own it. Okay, I'll give an example. I can own why I want to be a self-love coach. I can do that in my sleep. I don't need training for that right now. I understand what it is that I'm trying to give to the world, and I understand how I'm going to do it. I don't need to be doing anything else, and I feel fulfilled in doing that. It was just as easy as that, making that decision to say I'm coming out to the world as a self-love coach, because I'm realizing that it comes naturally, and I don't need to go and consult. Why do I want to be a doctor again? Somebody thought, yes, I can do it, but did I know, or did I feel I could do it? And the only person, like I said to you guys, I'll remind you again, the only person who knows what's best for you is you. So if you're ever going to engage a coach, if it's me or anybody else, realize that they are not there to help you. They're there to guide you and make you accountable to helping yourself, because the help is within. That is why we don't look for happiness externally, affirmations externally. All of those things should start with you. And then the last question is, are you not happy even though you have all you wanted? So this is just, or obviously the questions that I formulated are about my journey and things that were true to me. My answers were all yeses, right? So I thought I was ticking all the boxes. I had the things that I wanted in my life, but I just hadn't arrived, and I didn't know why, and I never really interrogated that. But it is probably because I was showing up as the person that I thought I should be, that I thought would make the people in my life happy. And so in doing that, I was a slave to them. I needed to free myself from expectations that I set for myself, that people would have of me. Nobody ever really said anything. So if I was to go and confront, say, my dad right now and say, you are the reason why I wanted to show up this way, because I really wanted to make you happy, he can actually ask me and say, pinpoint where I said that, and I couldn't find it. But now, as I interrogate my feelings, I know how I got there, and I can change it, because I know it was an immature version of me that then took the burden or the responsibility of making my father happy. But I have no idea what else makes him happy. I've never asked him that. Was that the only thing that would make him happy? Was my foregoing my childhood something that he would have wanted for me? Maybe not, but now we'll never know. So at the end of the day, if you answered yes to all these questions, guys, you need to embark on the self-love journey. You need to take control of your life in just knowing that nobody is coming. I want to repeat that. No one is coming to help. Help yourself. A coach, a therapist will facilitate you to help yourself. Get it if you need it. If you don't, if you're listening to people talk about their journeys, if having conversations with yourself come naturally, and you can do the inner work, you can do it intentionally, then you're good, because you're going to be able to change how you show up. And awareness of that breeds satisfaction. So what I mean by that is just that, you know how okay, fine, I'm going to give an example of us as girls. We get a lot of suitors, right? Most of you, I want to get married. You get a lot of suitors, but you don't have a boyfriend right now. What is the reason? It's because you actually said no to some guys. Yes, they were not in your league, or whatever it is that your reasons for not, being boyfriends with them, girlfriends to them, but it was still your choice, right? You could have a boyfriend today, but it was still your choice. So awareness of that choice is there, gives you satisfaction that where I am right now, I don't have a boyfriend because I choose not to have a boyfriend, because whatever was presented in my face was not something that honors me, right? And so when you honor that, you are happier alone, because you really are choosing to wait for what honors you. And so the feeling of loneliness or victim, the victim mode, where you think, Why am I just not meeting the right guys? Why is God not showing me the right guys? That's a victim mode. You're not present. You're not there to interrogate that the fact that you are also letting go of some guys. So you need to get to a point where you allow yourself to be satisfied with your choices. So you make your choices consciously, knowing that every opportunity you reject is something that you've intentionally thought through. You have inspected and said, okay, fine, my outer ego is trying to protect me, and she says, don't even dare talk to a guy that gets angry, right? But you want to say, Mimi, I get you. You are afraid because maybe mom was being abused when we were children, blah blah blah. But I would like to inspect this opportunity. Can I get to know this guy? See how he actually interacts with me. Maybe this guy might actually turn out to have other things that I never saw, other things that I might appreciate that I never understood, because your template is just through your experiences, but you don't know everything about everyone. So allow people to show up and allow yourself to inspect. This is just an example, but it is something that maybe could help you. I'm going to read some of your comments, guys. We are running out of time, but I just wanted to make sure that we get everything that I wanted to get out. Being strong is where we got that one. That is so true. You start to feel burnout. Also, I read that one. Suzio says, they make you accountable to help yourself. That's good. Yes, Suzio. Facebook user says, when I was growing up, I really thought I knew that what I wanted to be in life. As I've gone through different life experiences, though, it has changed. As I learn more about myself, that picture is not the same anymore. This is like real self-awareness, and it helps to acknowledge and to accept where you are in life and interrogate the person that's there. Don't look at who you were. You have to be present. Susie says, practically, how do you know what honors you? Practically, how you know what honors you is actually just being present with yourself. So, for example, I feel that when I listen to myself, when I hear my feelings and say, Angeline, why are you upset? I'm just going to keep using the same example. Why are you upset that Susie asked you a question that you don't know right now? And then I go back and see that I do not want to show up as a person that doesn't know. And then now I use logic and say, what is so bad about me not knowing in any situation? What is so bad about it? What am I really afraid of? And then so my answer would be unknown, right? And so it would honor me to know that what I would want to go through that experience and actually make a decision to say, no, this is a no-go area. So let me try not feeling upset about being asked questions and just saying, I don't know, or let me go and do my research. Because that way I will not have co-anxiety, because I think I probably have co-anxiety because I do not want to be on the spot most times. So maybe I'll actually start to have more conversations with people on the phone, etc. But it honors you when you are going to challenge yourself to grow. So I feel like a lot of things, especially in my journey, were hindering my growth. And so it didn't feel right. Some of the things didn't feel right, but I never took the time to interrogate them. There's also things like, abuse, easier one, where if I was being abused and I knew this is not what I deserved, how come I stayed? And when I interrogate Mimi, she says, we follow the rules. We are empathetic. We are nice. We are kind. We cannot just leave somebody we committed to be with for the rest of their lives. And, that doesn't make any sense. So Bimi was not honoring Angie because Angie is different from her. She understood that in a different context. She never got emotionally abused. She just thought that all people were nice. They were all in the same wavelength as her. And so she can make that decision and that makes sense for her. But for Angeline, it does not make any sense. Angeline is literally being a martyr, and nothing is going to be good out of that. The person she's staying with is also not going to grow. She's not going to grow. She's probably just going to die. So honoring yourself is doing inner work. And you know that when you have done inner work, you will know what decision has to be made. Susie as a comment says, love it, challenge yourself to grow. That's a lot of work for sure. Thank you. You are welcome. So I say, guys, this is a lot of work that we need to do. The self-love is not for the faint-hearted, but it's also a fun journey. And so I would like to invite you guys to embark on it. Do it alone. Do it with a coach. I am offering free consultations and access to my signature program, Self-Love for Purpose. If you do need my guidance, please reach out to me. You will see the offer that's going to be put on my Instagram page, Self-Love for Purpose Coaching, or the Facebook page, Self-Love for Coaching, A Journey to Purpose. Because I really, truly believe that we would be all happier if we could just master the way you need to do inner work to become the best or the healthier version of yourself. I hope you guys heard me, and I hope you enjoyed. Sorry guys, I'm sweating. I don't know why. You enjoyed that talk. I tried to compress everything, to make sure that you guys understand what I'm going through or what I went through. But the real truth is I have discovered awesome, like I said, and all I want to do is just to spread the awesomeness. And so let's share relatable stories and continue to grow. Have a good evening. Cheers.